everyone, this is your host Noorish Khan, and absolute carnage from Narendra Modi Stadium, Ahmedabad, as India unleashed their masterclass upon New Zealand. And not only did they unleash their masterclass, but they also managed to bag their fourth consecutive ICC title post the 2023 World Cup final defeat against Australia. India have truly been a force to reckon with, and most of you might pointed out that it is their third consecutive title, but I'm including the Women's ODI World Cup 2025 that was won by India last year as well. So including that, it's their fourth ICC title. And if we talk about the men's team, it is their third consecutive ICC title. So it's sheer dominance from Team India. They've proven to be a force to reckon with, to be a force that cannot be stopped at any point of time. And they well and truly deserved it. I mean, they have all the matches that they've played in the T20 World Cup so far. They have, in the T20 World Cup, they have won it with a huge margin. And not only have they won it with a huge margin, but they've also unleashed their masterclass in every aspect. And they've truly shown the world why they are who they are, and why they truly played like defending champions, and they succeeded to defend the title and that sort. And India are the champions of the T20 World Cup 2026. And New Zealand was again an unfortunate situation for them. Quite frankly, a repeat of the barest of margins. Well, I won't say the barest of margins, because at least the barest of margins was a close contest. This one wasn't a close contest at all. Right from the start, New Zealand were never even in the game. So the dilemma started when New Zealand won the toss, decided to bowl first. Now this can be a decision that can be debated, and has been under scrutiny for the ever since India won the World Cup. Since yesterday, since the match ended, it has been under scrutiny. But when you're winning, when you're captain, and you have the decision to to decide what you have to do after winning the toss, you have to decide it considering two factors in mind. The first one being your team's strength, and the other one being the conditions. Now, if I talk about the conditions, realistically speaking, Ahmedabad favors teams who bat first, and of course it depends upon the weather as well. But Ahmedabad has usually favored teams who bat first. In that sort, of course the decision was not a very good one, but of course, but then there have been instances where Ahmedabad has also favored teams that have batted second. But if I talk about the Indian conditions in general, they do favor teams who bat second, teams who choose to, win the toss and bowl first. So in that sort, that box was ticked. But if you take a look at New Zealand's strength, that their core strength lies in their bowling, and it was never their batting that was their core strength. So by the rule of thumb, if you win the toss, you should decide to, make a decision such that it complements your strength in the second innings. What do you mean by that? What I mean to say is that England should have chosen to, win the toss, and had they won the toss, they should have chosen to bat first, because it complemented their strength, that is their bowling, in the second innings. So you always, as a team, that's the rule of thumb. Whatever your strength is, you gotta execute it in the second innings, because then and only then could you even think of winning such high stakes match. And that, and if I talk about New Zealand debate, of course they were under pressure. Of course, obviously they were under pressure. The crowd was 100% in support of India, and why wouldn't the crowd be? Of course, it was their home ground, and it was coming home once again. So of course everyone would want to support their home team. Of course, 99%, if not 100%, the crowd was in favor of India, and that is one factor that really halted New Zealand's elite performance. And well, New Zealand had throughout the tournament they had performed really well. But if you kind of scrutinize a bit, if you scrutinize their performance holistically throughout the tournament, New Zealand were never really up to the mark with their batting. Only their bowling was a factor that really got them all those important wins. And I've said it a million times before. I won't hesitate to reiterate it once again. New Zealand's bowling has been the factor that has always, taken them over the line and gotten them those important wins. Even if I go back to the 2019 World Cup, the barest of margin, the ultimate final between England and New Zealand, everyone knows their bowling was one that really made the entire difference. In fact, in that match, bowling was the most important factor that really made the entire difference for both the teams, for England and New Zealand alike. Well, to be honest with you, to be frank with you, when the match started and India just, Indian batters, they just unleashed their power, they just unleashed their masterclass. To be honest, at that point of time, I was having a major deja vu, and that deja vu was linked to that England versus South Africa bilateral series, second T20I that was played at Old Trafford a few months ago. If you remember, during that point of time, it was played at Old Trafford, and during that match, a new legacy was set in the modern day cricket. It was a trailblazing match for the modern day cricket, as it really set a new record and really set the tone for modern day cricket by as England really set a record by scoring 304 runs in the first innings in that second T20I against South Africa at Old Trafford. So I mean, that record was set, and I was, to be honest, when looking at the Indian batters, the way they were performing, I was kind of really looking forward to that record being broken. And I mean, on a side note, I was thinking maybe, just maybe, Jos Butler might have had a discussion in this sort with Surya Kumar Yadav before the match, and it would have, the likes of that would have been shown in the match. But that didn't really seem to be the case, of course. And I tweeted this during the match as well. You gotta give credit to the New Zealand bowlers. A little credit. I mean, they were all over the place with their batting, with their bowling. I agree with and that sort, but they did contain the score a little towards the end. Although it didn't really mount to something significant in the end, but they really did, contain it to some extent towards the end. As you know, to be honest, I was anticipating the score to easily cross the 300 mark. The way they had the start, the way they got their 100, and the way the Indian batters were just, were not really stopping before anything other than a 6 or 4. So they were dealing in 6s and 4s, and it was literally raining boundaries at Ahmedabad, a ground which, by the way, the curse was jinxed by the Indian team after the final. And a lot of anticipation had, a lot of talk, discussion has been going on around how will the Indian team perform, and it can be justified, very rightly so, because they were just so good in all sort, and they just deserve to win this. To be honest, I've seen some claims of this match being rigged and being fixed, but to be honest, please look at it from the perspective of cricket. If you're a cricket fan, you would kind of and if you're an analyst, especially, whose job is to literally analyze the match, and if you are the one who's claiming it, then I'm sorry, but you need to rethink your decision of analyzing cricket, to be honest, because that is not something. I mean, we can expect fans to say this stuff, but I've seen some credible analysts saying this stuff as well, which doesn't really suit them, to be frank with you. So I mean, those are just claims, just baseless claims. Why would any team want to fix a match, right? And I do agree with the pitch being not up to the international standard. Yeah, I mean, you could say that. So, but then look, it was India's any team who any home team who's playing their final in their home soil would wanna kind of incorporate that bias in the pitch, and that's completely normal. That's totally fine. That bias is expected. That favor is expected, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, those claims are null and void, right? You gotta give credit wholeheartedly on the way India played, the way they stepped up, the way the batters stepped up, the way the bowlers bowled. This is the kind of cricket, the aggressive intent, the kind of cricket that modern day cricket demands from you, the kind of intent that modern day cricket demands from you. And if you're not, they just gave a clear message. You either adapt to the modern day cricket, or you kind of you're gonna face a fate similar to New Zealand and South Africa, right? So you really gotta be mindful of this. And this whole entire match really gave us a whole message, other than cricket, that that if you will, there's way. When there's will, there's way. And of course, if I talk about the Indian team holistically, there's a lot that needs to be talked about. And to be honest, to be frank with you, the Indian team, they have the decision that really got them that trophy was not taken in the final, but after the India versus South Africa match. And what really was that decision? The decision was to bring in Sanju Samson. Surya Kumar Yadav was, although not a big fan of this decision, bringing in Sanju Samson, but right after that defeat against South Africa that India had to face, and of course that really struck right at the hem of India's weakness, of course. And right after that match, India really regrouped and reinvented and rethought everything and reflected upon their mistakes, and really brought in Sanju Samson, that, by the way, of course, was a decision that was being anticipated by many, but was not really being incorporated in the Indian squad. And thankfully, it got incorporated at just the right time. And that is the decision that ultimately led India into the final and led India to, bag that all important trophy, all important another ICC tournament. So yeah, news from the center is that India have won the final, won the fourth tournament if I include the women's ODI World Cup as well, and they have successfully defended the title. And of course, if I before going towards the end of the video, you gotta give credit to New Zealand as well, the way they have stepped up in this tournament throughout. It was unfortunate for them. I wouldn't say unfortunate, they were not really in the game right from the first ball, and the damage that was done by the Indian batters was such that was very hard to contain that damage. And in that sort, New Zealand really needs to work on their bowling. And to be honest, I was expecting their bowling to step up a bit, and that's why I was giving the 40% leverage that I was really giving to the New Zealand side. But this gives us a very important message, and this is the message that was given to the Pakistani team as well, in after the Asia Cup 2025. But alas, we couldn't really work on these mistakes. For New Zealand, I will firmly believe that they are a team who really reflect in their dressing room, and they really look up to their look and shed some light on their mistakes and really regroup and try to improve what they've done. So we can expect something better from them in the future, and I really hope that they move on from just qualifying to finals to really picking up a trophy. They well and truly deserve that. For New Zealand, I think again, when you don't work on a certain aspect, when you don't work on your weaknesses, I think it shows sooner or later. It does. So for New Zealand, it was their batting sector, the middle order crisis that followed, and of course throughout the tournament it was dormant. It was pretty consistent, the middle order crisis, and of course it was far from being resolved. And since it remained unresolved, the results of that really showed in the final. And of course, and on top of that, their bowling also collapsed. So, and I don't know what really came into the minds of the New Zealand bowlers. They were all over the place. No line, low length. Line and length really seemed to be an alien concept to them, to be honest. And it was really appalling. I mean, as a final, you should, as a fan, you do expect some fight from the other end, right? But that really wasn't the case. So the T20 World Cup 2026 is over, and of course India have won that. India have not only won the title, they've won the final. They've beat New Zealand by a heavy margin of 96 runs. It was sheer dominance from the Indian batters, sheer dominance from the Indian bowlers. Jasprit Bumrah is literally ruling over the ICC rankings at the moment. He is literally the best out there, and undoubtedly, unarguably, he's the best out there, to be honest. And if I talk about the Indian batters a bit, they have been absolutely mind-blowing. The way Sanju Samson performed, Sanju Samson is an underrated gem of a player, and I had been saying it for a long period of time, for a long time now, ever since he was being rested. I had been reiterating it for a long time now. Sanju Samson should have been included, and thankfully after the India versus South Africa game, that decision was finally taken and Sanju Samson was included, and that precisely is the reason why India, one of the many reasons why India was able to lift that trophy. They do reflect on their mistakes, and I hope Pakistani team does that too. We do have the potential, we just need to channelize it in the right manner. So that was it. And of course, a couple of records were made here as well, in this World Cup as well. And Sanju Samson was also awarded the player of the tournament for his sensational performance throughout the World Cup. He had been absolutely brilliant behind the stumps as well. And of course, with India's win over New Zealand, their head-to-head record also now stand at 3-4-1. Earlier it was 3-0, now it's 3-1. Of course, 1 being for India and 3 for New Zealand. And so the fate for the New Zealand team continues, and I really hope they do learn from it. They do have that, and of course there are a lot of weaknesses if I talk about New Zealand a bit before concluding the video. Yesterday I was very shocked. Why would Mitchell Santner want to send Daryl Mitchell at number 6? I mean, had Daryl Mitchell come 2 to 3 positions up, the results would have shown, and he would have actually stepped up with the bat, would have actually put a good knock on board for New Zealand, and that would have actually borne fruits, to be honest. And that is precisely where New Zealand lacks, to be honest. They're taking the right decisions at the right time. Finn Allen and Tim Seifert are literally the 2 players upon which and the openers upon which New Zealand literally rest all of its batting lineup upon, and that is something that has been that has not been of of advantage to New Zealand. So they really gotta, after this World Cup, they really gotta think through what's really wrong. Because if you're not making it to the, if you're not able to lift the trophies of many successful ICC tournaments, the last trophy that they have in the bag was the World Test Championship 2021. After that, they're yet to win an ICC tournament. They have made it to the semi-finals and finals of many various ICC tournaments, but they're yet to win one. For New Zealand, of course, it's been a long time since they've won the last ICC trophy, ICC title, and so the dilemma continues, the bad luck continues for them. And I really hope that they learn from this mistake, because I know that New Zealand is the team that really reflects and has that kind of the OC mentality in them. And why do I say that? Because New Zealand and I like to put it this way: New Zealand and Australia are neighbors, of course. So the analogy continues. The Aussie mindset and the mindset of the New Zealand team is kind of the same, and it is precisely what really makes them what makes New Zealand cricket New Zealand cricket. And well, with that, this is it. Possibly the final video of the T20 World Cup 2026. It's been quite a ride so far. Our time with you guys, and it was I had immense fun. I had a lot of fun analyzing these matches for you throughout the tournament. The love that you guys have shown to our videos, it's been absolutely tremendous. Keep supporting us through your likes, shares, and subscribes, because that is really what motivates us. And all of those comments, I've read each and every one of them, and I'm super grateful to all the love that you've shown to my videos, to these analysis, this series of analysis. And with that, the roller coaster of a T20 World Cup comes to an end. And till next time, this is your host Noorish Khan signing off. Till next time, see you.